All right, let's jump right into something that trips almost everybody up when it comes to money. We're going to talk about the massive difference between looking rich and actually being wealthy. And I promise, once you really get this, it'll completely change the way you think about success.
So picture this. You're at a stoplight, and this incredible $100,000 car pulls up next to you. It's sleek, it's new, it's powerful, and what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably something like, wow, that person is loaded. They've really made it. We all do it. But what if we're wrong?
I mean, seriously, what does seeing that car actually tell you about that person's financial life? The truth is, it tells you almost nothing, and definitely not what you think it does.
Here's the only thing we know for an absolute fact. The person driving that car is $100,000 poorer than they were right before they bought it. That's it. Either they have 100 grand less in the bank or 100 grand more in debt. That is the only piece of data you actually have.
In that idea right there, it brings us to the absolute core of this explainer. We've got to understand the difference between two words we throw around all the time, rich and wealthy. And trust me, this isn't just about picking the right word, it's a completely different mindset that affects every dollar you ever touch.
So let's break this down. Being rich is all about your current income. It's what you can see. It's loud, it's flashy, it's demonstrated by spending money. But wealthy, that's a totally different game. Wealth is about your net worth. It's hidden, it's quiet, and its main purpose isn't spending, it's saving. Wealth is the money you don't spend. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Wealth is the stuff you don't see. It's the financial assets that you didn't turn into a fancy car or a diamond ring. It's an active restraint. It's choosing to build a secure future instead of buying a flashy today.
Okay, so if it's that straightforward, why do so many of us get it so wrong? Well, it's because we fall into this mental trap, a kind of spending paradox, where our desire to look rich becomes the single biggest obstacle to ever becoming wealthy. Let me show you what I mean.
This is the paradox in a nutshell. Think about it. When people say, I want to be a millionaire, what they're often picturing is going on a massive shopping spree and spending $1 million. But that is the literal mathematical opposite of being a millionaire. The goal becomes consumption, not accumulation.
And hey, this isn't just a theoretical problem. This happens to real people, even the highest earners. The singer Rihanna, for example, almost went bankrupt because of her spending habits. Her financial advisor eventually had to sit her down and explain it in the simplest way possible. Spending money on things leaves you with the things, not the money. Sounds so obvious, but it's a lesson that's easy to forget.
Let's take another example. The author of the book we're drawing from used to be a valet in LA, and he saw this all the time. There was this one guy, let's call him Roger. Roger drove a beautiful Porsche, and everyone, from the other drivers to the valets, just assumed he was this super successful, wealthy guy.
But then one day, the car was just gone. Turns out, it had been repossessed. Roger couldn't keep up with the loan payments. And just like that, the entire illusion of wealth, which was built on this one visible thing, completely crumbled. He looked rich, but he was actually one missed payment away from disaster.
Okay, so we've seen the trap of chasing that visible, flashy richness. Now let's flip the script. Let's talk about the real purpose of wealth and the incredible power that comes from the fact that it's invisible.
And this is so important. The money you don't spend, the assets you quietly build up, they're not just sitting there doing nothing. They are buying you something way more valuable than any car or watch. They are buying you freedom. They're buying you options. They are buying you the ability to wake up in the morning and know that you are in control of your own time.
And if you want a perfect real-life example of this, let me introduce you to Ronald Reed. For most of his life, this guy worked as a gas station attendant and a janitor in his local town. By every outward sign, he was a simple man with very modest means.
But when Ronald Reed passed away, his community was absolutely stunned. It turned out that this quiet, unassuming janitor had secretly built a fortune of over $8 million through decades of frugal living and smart, patient investing. $8 million. And herein lies the problem. Because Ronald Reed's wealth was completely invisible, nobody looked at him while he was alive and thought, now that's a guy I should learn from. We see the Rogers with their Porsches and we try to copy them. We don't see the Ronald Reeds. And you can't learn from what you can't see, which makes it so hard to find the right role models.
So, this brings us to the big finish. How do we actually use this information? It really comes down to a deliberate shift in our mindset and, most importantly, who we choose to look up to for inspiration. You know,
A great way to think about this is like fitness. Earning money, that's the workout. You put in the sweat. The urge to spend on something fancy, that's the treat meal you feel like you deserve. But building real wealth, just like building real fitness, is about having the discipline to turn down that treat and let the hard work compound. It's all about that gap between what you earn and what you spend.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. If true wealth is, by definition, invisible, and if the people who look the richest are often just on the shakiest ground, it forces you to ask a really tough question. Who should you actually be learning from? It means we have to look past the noise, past the fancy cars and watches, and instead seek out the quiet, humble discipline that actually builds a life of freedom.